You are down to the absolute final step before proofreading and actually creating a final copy that you're going to turn in of this essay. So let's go ahead and begin. We're going to slowly, systematically go through the process of formatting this essay and getting it ready to turn in. So let's go ahead and begin and talk about what we've already done. First off, if you're looking at step 7, you've already done everything else for your essay. You've collected evidence, you've written paragraphs, you've worked on compiling your work cited into a document where you'll be able to work with it. And now we're going to be moving on to deleting out the parts of the text that we no longer need and getting this ready to turn in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go all the way back to the beginning of my document. And I'm going to start by editing my header up here to have the correct page numbers formatted correctly for my essay. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this, and you're going to see that I'm going to go up into the header space at the top. First thing I'm going to do is change everything to black for my font color, because right now it's blue. Next thing I'm going to do is, instead of using this font, Lex and Deca, I like to type in Lex and Deca for when I'm actually drafting. It's a dyslexia-friendly font that I find easy to read. However, if we're talking about what's expected at a college or university or even at a high school, when we are drafting the final copy of our essay, we need to either switch that to Arial 11 or Times New Roman 12. I like Times New Roman 12 as a font choice, so I'm going to go ahead and set it to that. 12-point font instead of Lex and Deca. I'm going to scroll down and choose Times New Roman. You may also notice there's some extra spaces in this template that don't need to be there. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that and just make sure that I only have a single line up here in the header. Final thing I'm going to do in the header box is all of this information here that I was using just to identify the template. That's not what I need there. I need to have my last name. Remember, don't forget to capitalize your last name. All right, so now I'm ready to start doing some work in the body of the text. The first thing I'm going to go ahead and do is delete all of the information that isn't my own writing. And as you know, there's a lot of it. So I'm going to take my time and I'm going to do that work slowly and steadily. One piece of advice that I can go ahead and give you is at this point, it may be a good idea to make a copy of the document that is not your original copy. That way, if you inadvertently delete something, you're not stuck. So I'm going to go to File, Make a Copy, hit OK. And just to make sure that I don't accidentally end up typing in my original and lose something, I'm going to close my original and keep my copy open. All right, so now I'm ready to work. I'm going to delete everything that isn't my own words. So all of this at the top, that's not mine. All of this isn't mine. I'm going to be deleting for a while. All of this can be deleted. All of this can be deleted. Oops, all of this. Basically, if it's not my typing, it can go. I'm still getting down to where my own writing starts. I'm still deleting things. Now, this is interesting. Right here, this is some of the evidence that I wrote down when I was taking notes. I've already used the evidence to actually write my paragraph. At this point, this can be deleted. And in fact, if I've done the works cited step in step 6 that I was supposed to do, even this works cited entry can be deleted. So I'm going to get rid of everything here. And finally, I'm down to the point where my introductory paragraph begins. All right, so I've got that ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing for each of the other sections. So here's my first body paragraph. And I'm deleting the evidence I collected all the way down to the actual paragraph. Now I'm going to do myself a favor right now. I don't want to leave these extra spaces in place between my paragraphs. Remember, by hitting the tab key once, I'm indenting the first line of the paragraph. That's what shows I have a new paragraph. I don't need these extra spaces in between. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete my spaces between the paragraphs until they're sitting right on top of one another. And you can see my fonts are different right now. I'm going to fix all of that when I'm done deleting the things I don't need. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and take care of this part. I'm just going to delete all the way down to where I actually did my writing. There's that body paragraph that I want. I'm going to get rid of the extra space in between that I don't need. Moving on to my third body paragraph, I'm going to get rid of everything except the actual paragraph I wrote. Go ahead and get rid of that extra space in between. And if I messed up my indenting, I am going to go ahead and hit tab, make sure it's indented. All right, we're still going. So we're going to get ready with the works cited page, and I'm going to show you some stuff in a minute here with that. There's my conclusion. All right, so now I'm getting ready to do my works cited page stuff here at the end. And that's going to become my works cited page in a minute here. And I'm going to go ahead and get rid of all of this here at the end. All right. So let me show you what I'm going to do first. I'm actually going to do some formatting to the entire document to begin. So right now I've just got a skeleton and nothing's quite in finished MLA format yet. I'm going to go ahead and set all of my margins to 1 inch. Right now you can see these margins are really kind of little on the side. That's because on the template they're set to 1/2 inch in order to make more room on the page, but that's not proper MLA formatting. So let me show you how to do that. I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to go to Page Setup. And all of these spots for margins where it says 0.5, I'm going to go ahead and change them to 1 inch. And I'm going to hit OK. All right, so now that spreads things out a little bit more. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and change all of the font to Times New Roman 12. And I'm going to do that by hitting Command A to select all of my text. Next, I'm going to ensure that I have 12-point font. And I'm going to ensure that everything is Times New Roman. And I'm just going to go ahead and quickly scroll down my page and make sure everything looks like it should. All right, there's going to be some more information coming with the works cited page. For now, I'm just going to go ahead and move this works cited page stuff down onto its own page. I'm going to be getting to that at the end. All right, so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to highlight everything that's the actual body of the text. I'm leaving the works cited page stuff alone just for the time being. I'm going to go ahead and set my text to double space by clicking here on line spacing and changing it to double. And I'm just going to double check something. I'm going to make sure that I don't have any extra spaces between paragraphs. One of my personal pet peeves is when I see this situation going on with a kid's paper. I hate it. Looks like this. I'm like, come on, friend. You've already indented. You don't need this extra strange space in between. So if you have extra spaces between your paragraphs at this point, go ahead and proofread and fix it. All right, the next thing I need to do is go back to the top of my page, and I'm going to ensure I'm all the way at the top, and I'm going to add my header box. This is different than what I mean by header where the page number goes. This is where I'm going to put my name and the course and the instructor's name and the hour and the date. So I'm going to start by typing my first and last name, and then I'm going to hit enter 1 time. Notice this is also double spaced, just like the rest of the body of the text. I'm going to go ahead and put the course. In this case, it's English 9. Your course may be something different. I'm going to put the hour that I have the class. I'm going to go ahead and say hour 1. Next, I'll put the name of the instructor or instructors. So the instructors for this course are Ms. Miller and Ms. Simpson. Some teachers like it to look like this, just their last name. If you just have one teacher, it might look like this. Ms. Miller and I prefer it this way, though. So I'm just going to say Ms. Miller and Ms. Simpson. Finally, I'm going to go ahead and put the date using military notation. So that sounds very fancy, but you're going to put the day of the month first, then the name of the month, then the year, and it's going to look like this. So today is the 6th of January, 2021. You'll put whatever the due date is of your particular paper. It's probably not going to be the 6th of January, 2021, so make sure that your date's actually the correct date when your paper is due. Actually, this paper in real life is going to be due on the 22nd of January, 2021. All right, so I'm going to go down to the next line. I need to give my text a title. And I want to make sure, once again, just like between the paragraphs, I don't have a bunch of weird extra spaces when I title my paper. Now, when I title something that's a creative piece of writing, like a personal narrative, I want a jazzy, fun, witty title. For academic writing, such as informational text, it's really better to give a simple and descriptive title to your piece. So I'm going to go ahead and just title my paper, Ageism in of Mice and Men. Now, right now, I don't have this quite formatted properly. I've got it in Times New Roman 12. I don't have it bolded. I don't have it underlined or anything else strange like that, but I've forgotten to center it in the middle of the line, so I'm just going to go up here and center that. Notice there's, once again, no extra spaces in between. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is start dealing with the Works Cited page. This is where formatting can get a little bit complicated and a little bit confusing because sometimes word processors don't quite understand what you're trying to do when it comes to an MLA formatted Works Cited page. So we're going to scroll down, we're going to go slow and easy and get that handled. All right, first off, you're probably noticing that this has moved awfully far down on the page. It says Works Cited, but I need to move that right up to the top of the page where it should be. Oops, went too far. All right, so at this point, if I'd done during step 6 what I was supposed to do, I have all of my Works Cited entries here, and they're already in alphabetical order. So if you haven't alphabetized them using the first word in the title of the Works Cited entry, now is the time to do that. So take a moment, do that if you need to. All right, next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and set myself up for some formatting success. This is where sometimes things like Google Docs don't understand what you're trying to accomplish. I'm going to take all the extra spaces out. And notice it's going to get confusing. I'm going to need to keep track of what I'm doing. All right. Oops. It's not wanting to cooperate with me. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Let me see if I can do it with this one. All right, so let me just try something here really quick. I'm going to try a couple of ways to format this properly in Google Docs. So what I'm going to do is, in MLA formatting, you know when you start a new paragraph, you should indent the first line and it should look like that. The Works Cited page does this backwards. The first line is lined up with the left-hand margin. It's the second line that gets indented. But if you just hit tab like that, it goes back up and indents the first line because it doesn't quite understand the difference between a Works Cited entry and an actual paragraph. So I can show you a couple of things to try to get this to cooperate. What I sometimes do is I go to that second line and I go ahead and I hit return one time, then I tab over. And now look, it's already double spaced, just like the rest of the paper. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to repeat that process for each of these. And that works pretty well a lot of the time. I'm going to go ahead and do it here. I'm going to hit enter, tab one time, and then this one's all on one line. And this looks pretty great. I can show you another couple of things you can try in class. If you would like some instruction and maybe this strategy isn't working well for you, make sure that you come and see me and I can show you a couple of other things that we can experiment to get it working. But as it is, this ended up working great. One of the things I like to check, before I actually get into the point where I'm making sure that this is a polished final copy, I like to look and make sure that I don't have extra pages at the end. Like if a 5th page had somehow been added, because I was messing around with margins and stuff, just because you don't want a bunch of extra pages at the end of your paper, it looks sloppy. All right, so I'm just going to double check a few things just right off the top of my head and right off the bat. I like to look for any red or blue squiggles. Red squiggles are misspelled words and blue squiggles are grammatical errors. And I like to just double check that I don't see any of those because those are red flags for an instructor that you've made an error, that you were too lazy to click and replace. And I'm not seeing anything like that here. I'm just looking for any extra spaces. Like I think I ended up, with an extra space there that I didn't need. It's just a simple double space like the rest. Making sure my name and the page number appear on each page. And I want to make sure that it says my name and then a 1, then the next page should have a 2. Sometimes people end up, I can show you what I mean. You have to change this separately from this. This is like the automatic page number that will just show up. All right, so at this point, without actually going through and reading my essay and polishing it up for content, at least the formatting looks clean, solid, and appropriate.